So one of the most expensive things for us is eating. We eat, all 5 of us. We're always eating. We've tried to not feed the little ones, but they still want to eat all the time. And so when we started on this RV life, we knew one of the things we had to avoid was always going out to eat. And how do you do that? You do that by cooking. And so this week we're going to go over some of our must-haves for your kitchen.
Hey, we're Herons on the Roam. We're a family of 5 who recently sold almost everything that we own to buy a truck and a 5th-wheel camper to roam around the U.S., creating memories as a family.
We were going to do a tour this week, but I don't know if you can hear or not. I've been sick all week, so I haven't been able to get some things done that I wanted to, and I have not felt real good. Yesterday was the first day that I felt okay. Still got some stuff going on, so next week you're getting a tour of this place. So next week.
Real quick, before we get into the kitchen stuff, we need your help. We are going up the East Coast this time around. In February, early February, we're going to be going to North Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, all the way up to Maine, and then come back, Ohio, Indiana, Missouri, that whole thing. So we're going to kind of make a loop up the East Coast. And we'll be at all the big cities, so I think we're going to Philadelphia, Boston, New York, all over the place up there. So just let us know, what are some cool things to do, places to eat, state parks, whatever you can think of. Leave it in the comments so that we know, and we can try to stop and visit some of those places. So now to the kitchen stuff.
We're going to share basically everything that we use to make this kitchen run. We were going to try to make a list of like our top this and our top that, but there are so many things in here that like we didn't have in our sticks and bricks that we have here that we feel are necessary. So we're just going to share everything. We're going to kind of list it, what we think is most important down to like, hey, you could go for it or not. But we want to share it all. That way you can see what we think is necessary. Everything that we share with you guys today will be linked in the description. Small thing we've done is hang up these coat rack hangers for my coffee cups. I don't have very many, but they were all gifts from the kids. Storage in a camper is all about vertical storage. Alright, this is not glamorous either, and it's really not even that pretty, but it's important to us. I love to cook. We have lots of spices. I pared down, there's also more here and more here. I probably got rid of about 3 of these to do this, and it just was all in here all jumbled up. So we've got the big ones, we'll eventually replace with small ones once we run out. We've got more in here, and then I have my small ones here. Like I said, as we replace more, we'll put them there. These stick on, and then they come with teeny tiny screws. The stick on didn't stay, so I also put the teeny tiny screws in there, and it holds most of them. There's a couple, the square ones, it doesn't hold. It holds all of these really well, and it makes them easy to grab. They don't have to be out anywhere, and they're not taking up all my space in my pantry. The faucet, this new faucet we've added, I love this thing. We got a different one. We had like a silver one. It was a lot lower, and it was kind of hard to get things under it in the sink. So we bought one of these for like 50 bucks on Amazon, and it came in, and it was like down to here. So it was, I think, even lower than the original one. So I kept it for like a week, and I was like, okay, this is terrible. Went online, bought an even cheaper one. This one was like 20 or 30. Okay, it's a $20 or $30 faucet. And it's amazing. I know it may not last us 20 years, neither will this camper, but this thing, it's got the shower and whatever that thing's called, the stream, pulls out. We can wash the whole sink, we can wash all the dishes, and it's high, so I can get stuff under here, and it's pretty.
This right here. I don't know if you have one of these. If you don't, you need to get one, because a lot of stuff goes in there, and you don't want it sitting in your gray tank. So definitely get one of these. And a lot of you may have one of these. Now these are great. It's better than nothing. But if you have one of these, get one of these. These go below these in there, and then these would go on top. Because what you'll notice a lot is that if you have one of these, so much stuff is getting through this, and you may not realize it. And if you have one of these underneath it, when you take this out, you'll be shocked how much stuff is getting caught in this one. And just to prove that point, we have this one also. You may look like, oh look, it caught some stuff. Look at that. Great for your gray tank, so you don't have all this building up in your gray tank.
We try not to use a ton of paper towels, so we do a lot of dish rags, you know, around here, clean our hands off and that type of stuff. But obviously we still do use paper towels like when we eat and things. And there's nowhere to put paper towels in here. You know, they'd go from the table to the oven, and they'd be all over the place, they'd be falling on the ground. We have dogs, that's disgusting. So I found this thing. It is really hard for me to put paper towels on here, but it's stick-on. I mean, it has screw holes too, but it's stick-on, and this thing has not fallen off. Like, whatever stick-on stuff they have on here works really good, and it's pretty. I mean, it matches everything else in here, and it's out of the way being put here. I mean, you could put it, you know, we don't have a lot of places in here, but most campers I know have at least one place that you could put it, and we really like that it keeps it up and out of the way. This, I think, is aesthetically pleasing, and it serves a purpose. So, this is not a super fancy knife block from wherever those super fancy places are that you get the magnetic knife block things from. I don't know anything about that, but this came from Harbor Freight. I think it was like $7 for organizing your tools in your garage, and it works really good. We leave these up here when we travel. We've never had an issue. I do put the knives on here facing away, pointing up, just so that if they were to fall, you know, hopefully they wouldn't chop a toe off or, you know, mess the counter up or anything. But nothing has ever fallen, and it works really well. It doesn't get in my way when I'm cooking, and like I said, it was cheap. We just put it in here with some drywall anchors, and it works really well. Don't forget, there are links to everything that we're talking about in the description. So we've had this Crockpot Instant Pot for several years. In here, though, it works really good. I cook all of my rice in here. There are several recipes that we cook in here. When we do cook in this thing, obviously we're not heating up the whole kitchen. So like during the summer when it was hot when we first moved in, wasn't the summer, but in Mississippi, it's summer almost all year long. Cooking in the oven obviously heats this whole place up. So this is a really good way to, you know, make meals and not heat everything up. And also, like, we cooked a roast in it one day, and it was nice weather outside, so we just put it on the table outside. You know, didn't have to worry about anybody bumping it or anything, you know, in the small space, and dinner just cooked outside all day. Also, because you only have 3 burners on the stove, like I said, I cook all of my rice in here. I like the way that it comes out, so it's a preference. But it's really nice to be able to, like, steam broccoli in here, cook your rice in here, and not try to fight for space on the stove. And just, you know, have this on the counter cooking, you know, one thing while you have other stuff going on the stove. Alright, so this is our super fancy plastic water kettle. I've never owned a water kettle. I've never had a reason to own a water kettle. We're not pour over people or tea drinkers or any of that kind of stuff. But in here, the first time I ever tried to cook pasta, the water sat on the stove for like 30 minutes, okay? I don't know how much propane that actually is, but I was like scared to death, like, oh my gosh, every time we boil water, we're going to use so much propane, because it never boiled. It never boils, okay? So we decided, we're going to go and get one of these. We did a little bit of research and saw that people will use a water kettle, heat the water up, and then pour it on the stove, because this heats water up like 5 minutes. And then I can pour it on the stove, and it comes to its little bit of a boil that it does much, much faster, like maybe 5 minutes instead of 30 minutes. And so anytime we're going to boil water, we heat it up in here first, and then we pour it on the stove. It saves us some time, and it also saves us some propane, so we feel like it's worth it to have it. And it was cheap. We don't have a dishwasher, obviously, so we're washing dishes all the time. This thing, I've been trying to keep it in here, you know, but if we get big things, whatever. Anyways, it stays up here a lot. If we have a lot of dishes, we put it here, then we put some stuff on this drying mat too. If we don't have a lot, we'll put it like this, do stuff, and then stick it down in the sink to where it doesn't take up a lot of space. See, it collapses, and then we can just put all of this away and have the counter. Because this is the only counter space we have. So, we like it clean to be able to do things on it. We really like this pure water filter. You know, a lot of the places we went in Texas were in the middle of a drought. So apparently there, I don't know if it's always this way or if it was just because of the drought, but they bring their water in. So it's like stored in stuff, and it doesn't taste very good. And we are not going to go out and buy bottled water all the time. I'm not doing that. So we've got a filter outside. We're hoping to get an even better filter outside. And then we wanted something else to filter even more. So we bought this. We've replaced the filter in it a couple of times. It does help. There has been one park where the water just wasn't, you couldn't do it. And we did buy bottled water for there. But this works really good. You can either put it in the fridge, or you can see we have it on the counter. It does what it's supposed to do. People always talk bad about the ovens in RVs. I like to bake. We've done cinnamon rolls several times in here. We've done bread several times in here. So it was important that we could cook things in here. And I think it does pretty well. But you have to have a pizza stone. This is not a fancy Pampered Chef one. I've never owned anything Pampered Chef in my life. But this is just a square or a rectangle one off of Amazon. My sister actually gave it to me. She had the perfect size. So she gave me hers and I gave her my round one. It does really well. Now there are some things, like when I cook artisan bread in the Dutch oven, it still wants to burn on the bottom. So I just put a cookie sheet underneath it. So if it's something that, you know, you feel like is burning or whatever, you can put a cookie sheet underneath it. This right here is just a flame, and it comes up right here, and then this kind of helps it spread out. Well, it doesn't do great. I mean, it's just one piece of metal. So this helps it to spread it even more to where you're getting more even cooking. But, you know, I mean, there are limitations. So some things I still put a cookie sheet under it to try to get it even more evenly baked. But the kids say the cinnamon rolls in here are the best cinnamon rolls I've ever made, so.
The Blackstone. We got a 22-inch. We got it, obviously. I mean, a grill is a lot messier. This Blackstone, we can just scrape everything out the back. I don't know how big a hamburger patty is, but you can see, I mean, we can fit plenty of food on there. We did have to add these because I think the wind was getting in there and kind of starting to kill the flame. So we looked it up. We just got some of these and some magnets to block both sides. And since then, we've not had a problem. And to be fair, the camper did come with one built in. But I don't know if y'all can tell how high that is. That's a normal size grill, about to my waist. So you can tell by the height of that thing, nobody in my family would ever be able to actually cook in this, except for me. Until, you know, Lucas is 22, Sarah would never make it. So this has been critical. And fortunately for us, this all gets stowed away, and this whole thing will fit right there. And then we just have to put the stand underneath up front. So it's been great. Definitely recommend this. One thing though about this Blackstone, and I need help, and I'm worried because every time I say I need help and leave it in the comments, none of you ever do. If you have one of these grills, how do you level it? Because this one, we got it because it detaches right here. So the stand is separate, but it's all on these knob legs. So to level it is a real pain. So you may have all your hamburgers over here, but all the grease is floating over there, and your food burns. So if you know of a good, easy way to set one of these up and level it, tell us in the comments, please. So, kitchen themed, but our outdoor kitchen. Fortunately, we have one of these, and we wanted one for full-time living because one of the things we heard so often is that if you cook inside the camper, especially in the summer, certainly if you're boondocking or you don't have 50 amp hookup, it can get really hot in there. So being able to cook out here has been great. And one of the reasons we've been able to cook out here so much is because of this, our Cuisinart air fryer. It's great. This one's big, so it can fit almost anything you want in there. I literally haven't found anything that you can cook inside that can't be cooked out here. And in fact, if you're like me and you like a little burnt on your food, like I like my pizzas burnt, my french fries crispy, this is better than the oven, in my opinion, especially in a camper. I don't know why, but the gas oven in our camper just doesn't seem to cook things like it would have in a normal stove. And it's so easy with the dials. Once our kids know, like, hey, chicken nuggets are on air fry 350, 10 minutes, they can come out here and cook all by themselves without us having to worry about it. So that has been amazing. Another good thing on this air fryer, it's got all kinds of things. Warm, broil. I don't know what that air broil is. Toast, bake, air fry, toast, all your temperatures, timer. Fantastic.
We've hit 100 subscribers, guys. If you could make sure to share this video, comment on it, because that helps us be more visible, and like it. And if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe now.